Hey guys, let's get more news, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. After weeks that seemed like years, there's finally a resolution to the Pittsburgh Steelers' Aaron Rodgers saga. The two sides had been playing an intense game of cat and mouse since Rodgers was officially released by the New York Jets back on March 13th, and after Rodgers reportedly was rejected by the Minnesota Vikings, the Steelers emerged as the frontrunner to sign the four-time MVP. With Rodgers still in sign back in April, some believe the Steelers were considering taking Shedeur Sanders in the 2025 NFL Draft. Sanders slipped to the fifth round before being snatched up by the Cleveland Browns, and the Steelers grabbed Ohio State QB Will Howard 1 round later. With Howard clearly being drafted as a development project, it looked like Mason Rudolph was on track to start training camp as Pittsburgh's QB1 until the news everyone had been waiting for broke on Thursday, and Rodgers was officially heading to Pittsburgh. Hours after Gary Duloc of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette broke the news that Rodgers informed the team he was signing with them, the Steelers posted for the first time on X after the Rodgers news broke official confirming his signing. "We have agreed to terms with QB Aaron Rodgers on a 1-year contract, pending the completion of a physical," the team posted on X. The official announcement caused quite a stir among the team's fan base, and while some were excited about Rodgers' signing, many others flooded the comment section, expressing their unhappiness with Pittsburgh's new starting QB. "This feels cheap and desperate. This is not a Pittsburgh Steeler," one fan scoffed. "Congrats. You just signed the third best QB in the division, rolling on the floor laughing, another fan quipped. "El Mayo'll be doing anything but getting a real QB," a third fan joked. "Bro, he is not saving y'all, loudly crying face, one user stated. "Steelers really fumbling the bag this offseason, El Mayo," another replied. "Just what the team needs, a locker room distraction at QB," remarked one fan. In his lone season with the Jets, he didn't play in 2022 due to a torn Achilles in the season opener. Rodgers completed 63% of his passes for 3,897 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions, and New York went just 5-12. If Antonio Brown didn't say it himself, it might be near impossible to believe. News broke on Thursday that the Pittsburgh Steelers will sign Aaron Rodgers to a 1-year deal ahead of mandatory minicamp, which begins next week. On the heels of that report, Brown told ML Football that he spoke with Rodgers in February, and the two discussed the wide receiver's return to the NFL, specifically as a member of the Steelers. Stephen A. Watch more. Breaking. 7x Pro Bowl WR Antonio Brown says that new #Steelers QB Aaron Rodgers asked him in February if he would be interested in playing again for Pittsburgh. At AB84 tells @_ML Football, the aggregator posted on his X account. Brown, 36, a future Hall of Famer, is still in elite football shape and works out daily. Brown reposted the initial report from ML Football, confirming it via his own official X account. Rodgers has not mentioned anything publicly about playing alongside Brown in Pittsburgh, either before or after the news of his deal with the Steelers broke on Thursday. Brown played 12 seasons in the NFL, including 9 in Pittsburgh, where he was one of the best pass catchers in the league. The wideout earned Pro Bowl honors 7 times during his tenure with the Steelers and All-Pro honors on 5 occasions. He also led the league in receiving yards twice, receptions twice, and receiving touchdowns once during his tenure in the AFC North Division. Brown left the Steelers under strained circumstances, after which it became clear that he had personality clashes with multiple key members of the organization, including head coach Mike Tomlin. In November 2024, Brown announced that he would play for the Steelers for free given the opportunity. A reporter asked Tomlin for his thoughts on those comments during a press conference, and the coach's response was simply to turn and walk away from the podium with no verbal response. Brown went on to play in 3 more seasons in the NFL after departing Pittsburgh following the 2018 campaign, 1 for the New England Patriots and 2 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, though he appeared in just 16 games total across those years. Brown has not played in the NFL since 2021. He has also dealt with multiple off-field issues, including with the law, since his career in professional sports ended 4 years ago. Brown filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in May 2024. The Pittsburgh Steelers finally brought closure to months of rumors that finally ended with Aaron Rodgers agreeing to a one-year contract to be the team's starting quarterback in the 2025 NFL season. Rodgers can still throw the ball, but part of the reason his market wasn't as fruitful as he may have hoped is the fact that the future Hall of Famer's penchant for bringing his friends to town can often lead to his downfall. Pittsburgh, however, seemed undaunted by that possibility. Steelers fans, dreading the idea of Rodgers getting his ill-fated Packers and Jets bands back together, might need to prepare for a dose of reality. It seems likely that at least one of these three Rodgers friends will make the trip to Pittsburgh with him. Aaron Rodgers could bring these three friends to Pittsburgh. Allen Lazard. Lazard is currently positioned to be WR2 for the Jets in 2025, but they could easily move off him in a year that is all about rebuilding with younger players. Rodgers will likely be banging his table to sign Lazard, with whom he apparently has a very deep football connection. The Steelers have already acquired DK Metcalf, and they are still snooping around both the Jonas Smith and Gabe Davis markets. This team wants one more pass catcher to complete their room, and Lazard might be the most realistic target left. Nathaniel Hackett. Hackett has become such a toxic force in the NFL that no one is going anywhere near him after his latest mess of a Jets tenure. Hackett's schemes are bland, and his play calling is some of the worst in the league, which means that Rodgers will likely want him to link up in Pittsburgh. Wait, what? Anyone who doesn't think Rodgers will try to get Hackett a role as a senior offensive analyst in Pittsburgh may also be interested in buying bridges. Rodgers is Hackett's biggest fan, and any team that brings in Rodgers will likely be willing to make some concessions on personnel. Randall Cobb. Hey, Tom Brady managed to pull Rob Gronkowski out of retirement, and Rodgers' voice helped keep Cobb employed for 3 seasons at the end of his career. Cobb is currently working as an SEC network analyst, but if he wants one more go at it, the Steelers will at least give him a preseason tryout if Rodgers begs. If Cobb wants to consider a career change and get into coaching, which could be very fruitful after he established himself as a dynamite veteran leader with Green Bay, Rodgers' voice might be enough to get him an assistant role working with wide receivers. These two are still joined at the hip.